why is it the riders who have to make that call? Why can't the organizers make that decision already a bit earlier? Because let's not forget, we have the race going on. The riders get to the top of the climb, but the race organizers, they have cars 10, 15 minutes ahead of the race already. So, there's a whole chain of information that should come to the race director, who's the guy just behind the peloton or behind the breakaway. So that's the only thing that I have a bit of criticism of. Why didn't the race organizers decide that immediately? At the same time, these things do happen really, really quickly. So it can be, it started to hail all of a sudden, right? It can be that 10 minutes ahead, it was not hailing. When the first cars went up the climb, it was raining but not hailing, and then all of a sudden it started to hail very heavily. But there was no way they could have gone on this race. The downhill was super dangerous. Hail on the road, super slippery. The right call, a bummer, of course, but the right decision was made, in my opinion.
Everybody, welcome back to The Move. I'm Spencer Martin. I'm here with Johan Bruyneel. We are breaking down Stage 3 of the Vuelta a España. And it might be a short episode because Stage 3 of the Vuelta was canceled, was neutralized with around 17 kilometers to go. When stuff was getting good, UAE was on the front, hammering the pace on the first of the final 2 climbs of the day, the only 2 climbs of the day. Massive hailstorm hit. They were right to stop the race, but Tadej Pogačar, not the race organizer, came to the front and said, we got to take shelter. And they went into a hotel cafe. And if you were watching the race, you knew right away that they were not going to be able to restart it. Kind of a funny, odd turn of events, strange turn of events, though, because the race before that was on. There was a 6-rider breakaway up the road. Ethan Hayter was in it. He was getting green points that were later nullified. So he was in the green jersey. Virtually, the race ends. He loses those points retroactively, not in the green jersey, even though he's still wearing it because Tadej Pogačar is in the lead. And the major racing news of the day was that with 90K to go, there was strong winds off the ocean. Johan, I don't know if you saw this, like almost 40K an hour. UAE goes to the front, starts accelerating through, so the road narrows through a little French town. We know what's going to happen here. They leave town. They just start hammering. Ineos and UAE are at the front, split the peloton. The only major GC rider caught out was, I guess Joao Almeida was back at the team car when it happened. UAE probably said, sorry, Joao. We'll get you later. You'll come back. But Felix Gall was caught out. His decathlon team had to chase pretty hard for like 10K to catch back on. But Johan, it's kind of an odd 8-sleep move of the day. And if you want to get an 8-sleep mattress topper, which UA will be sleeping tonight, Tadej Pogačar specifically, we'll be recovering with this throughout the entire Vuelta. If you want to get $350 off through the end of this Vuelta on your own 8-sleep mattress topper, go to 8sleep.com/themove today. But Johan, what is it? Toughest 8-sleep of the day, I think, for the Vuelta. What is yours today?
Yeah, 8-sleep move of the day, Spencer. Let me give it to ASO to get the size right of the green jersey for Ethan Hayter. We saw him,
yes.
We saw him in the skin suit, and apparently it was the right size today, on the contrary to yesterday, where I still can't get really my head around what happened yesterday with that skin suit. But no, I think the event of the day is probably Pogačar going to the front and acting as the boss, taking responsibility and say, hey guys, okay, we're not doing this. And everybody was, of course, straight away in agreement. It was kind of a bold move, because there were 2 riders in front. So,
I didn't think about that.
What happens if the race organizers don't agree and they let these 2 guys go?
And they get like 45 minutes.
They would have gotten half an hour. I
didn't think about that.
Okay. So, of course, we know that's not going to happen. But I think it was the right call. We saw the images, it was already, very obvious from the footage. But, you can only imagine what happened, how these guys felt on the bike. That hurts, man. That really, really hurts. So, the right call, really good initiative, I think, of Pogačar, and nobody has protested. And for sure, even the race organizers. The only thing we can ask ourselves is, we talked about it briefly before we started recording. Why is it the riders who have to make that call? Why can't the organizers make that decision already a bit earlier? Because let's not forget, we have the race going on. The riders get to the top of the climb, but the race organizers, they have cars 10, 15 minutes ahead of the race already. So, there's a whole chain of information that should come to the race director, who's the guy just behind the peloton or behind the breakaway. So that's the only thing that I have a bit of criticism of. Why didn't the race organizers decide that immediately? At the same time, these things do happen really, really quickly. So it can be, it started to hail all of a sudden, right? It can be that 10 minutes ahead, it was not hailing. When the first cars went up the climb, it was raining but not hailing, and then all of a sudden it started to hail very heavily. But there was no way they could have gone on this race. The downhill was super dangerous. Hail on the road, super slippery. The right call, a bummer, of course, but the right decision was made, in my opinion.
Yeah, I live in a climate almost exactly like the finish of today's stage. And you can get these, if you're going to be kind to the race organizer, you can get these crazy storms that roll through and they don't hail. And then in 5 minutes, it's perfect, like perfect weather. And you would look kind of silly, I guess, if you called it off just because it was rain. The hail did come in very fast. If you watched the race, it deteriorated so fast. It was shocking how quickly it went from it's probably raceable to the roads literally looked like ice rivers. It was like the stage of the tour that got called off in 2019. But I think you mentioned it, Johan. UAE, a lot of work today. Like they were on the front, they're splitting. First of all, why did they split the peloton with 90K to go? Because realistically, they were never going to hold off Decathlon for, 60K until the start of the climb. But do you mind just telling listeners, those of us who are not like 9-time winning Tour de France winning directors, why would a team do this in the crosswinds?
I think, if first of all, if you're surprised nowadays in today's cycling with all the information that is out there, if you're surprised by crosswinds, it's because you've not done your homework. So, you can only think that Felix Gall was sleeping, didn't pay attention, or just doesn't have the legs. We'll have to find out. He lost time yesterday. Not a lot, but, sometimes it's an indication of, even if it's a climber, if you're in top shape, you do have the strength to move up when you see something's happening. I don't think personally that this was a move to put Felix Gall in problems. It was a consequence of the initiative of UAE. And if you get to, if you're the favorite, you have a strong team and you get to these areas where it's crosswind and you know this already since the morning, it's just better to organize your team and, take the initiative yourself rather than having to react to another team or sometimes two teams. It happens sometimes that with crosswinds, two teams make a deal. They talk to each other and say, hey, you know what? Before, okay, nowadays everybody has the information. But before, like let's say 15, 20 years ago, we didn't have all this information. It was just the beginning of the internet age. We didn't have weather apps. We didn't have VeloViewer, of course. We basically relied on people going up front with the car. We had scouts going up front and, scouting the conditions. And then it got relayed to, and at the beginning, only the biggest teams did that because let's not forget, cycling has evolved so much that now there's an overflow of staff. But back in the days, we were tight on staff. So you had to have an extra person, an extra car, which sometimes was not the case for a certain team. So then it could happen that two or three teams had information and they say, hey, and they talk to each other. Let's go together. Of course, that doesn't happen anymore nowadays. But still, in the case of UAE, they just went to the front and did what they had to do. It's the best way to stay out of trouble because you don't have to react. Normally, when a team starts to really put it in the gutter and go fast with crosswinds, you have to try to organize your team, go to the front. It's chaos. You lose one or two riders that, don't get to the wheel. So I think it was the right thing to do. It was more because of out of safety than out of the intention to take time. I don't think Pogačar doesn't need to take these opportunities to take time on his rivals. There's plenty of opportunities for him to take time already with in the climbs. So I think it was obviously Felix Gall not being in the right place and maybe not having the legs. I don't know. We'll see tomorrow if Felix Gall has the legs. I hope so. But yeah, it's the safest thing to do, Spencer, to just go to the front and organize. And then also, hopefully, you always hope that another team or two teams will join, because then you share the work. It's easy to organize. And if you have 2 or 3 teams, it's very difficult for another team to get in there, in that mix, in that rotation, right? Because if you have one team of 8 riders in this case, okay, Almeida was in the back, so you're only down to 7. Pogačar's not going to pull, it's down to 6. You have 2 climbers that probably are not going to be very strong so you're very limited. So you actually want and hope that another team or 2 teams will join.
Yeah, and if it's UAE by themselves, then you're going to get to the final climb and you're not going to have Almeida because he's off the back, and your guys are tired. And then have you hurt yourself, because then there's no one to set up Pogačar on the final climb. But we should say, we should even back it all the way up to the beginning of time. The easiest place to ride in crosswinds, it's very counterintuitive, is on the front, right? Rotating through. So, yeah, if you're in the crosswinds and you're ever in doubt about what to do, someone always just told me, just start rotating through. Get to the front right hard, rotate
Absolutely.
through.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, listen,
it's less risk there.
Yesterday, I had this same example with my son. My son did this 4-day stage race in Ribera del Duero, and yesterday was a crosswind stage. And so I had told him, I told him that where the crosswinds were going to be, and these juniors don't, especially in Spain, they're not used to ride. They're not used to ride in echelons, right? So I told, okay, so you go you make sure you're in the front, and as soon as you feel the crosswinds, you rotate, And so, 20 guys went away, and that was the race. So you have to be always rotating. If you stay behind the team, or you try to skip a few turns, you are at high risk of getting dropped. You may be you may be super strong. You can't do it on your own in the crosswinds. You have to rotate.
Can't. Yeah, if you try to sit in, you'll get dropped. Like sure as day, that's going to happen. It was interesting to see. Just a weird day in general, though, because now poor Ethan Hayter, I can't believe they did this to these guys. They nullified everything. Where I guess they can't, right? If they neutralize the day, does it not allow them to keep the points?
Spencer, let's wait until we get the official.
Yeah, I guess we don't
the
have
official information. It's very recent. So I would think logically, whatever happened on the road until that moment should count. On the other hand, you could also say, well, he got the opportunity to get the points, and then the guys which were going to go for the results in the final didn't get the opportunity to score the points. So it's kind of even, right? I mean,
true. Yeah.
With the points of today that Ethan Hayter took on the road, he should be officially in green, but Pogačar didn't get the opportunity to score points, which he probably would have. So he wouldn't be in green anyways. Ethan Hayter.
That's a good point.
So it's maybe a fair decision.
Actually, probably helps him, because it was 30 points for the win, 20 for the intermediate. So he would have lost 10 points, and then now he doesn't. Let's take a quick break to talk about our presenting sponsor, and then I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then we'll get into the Stage 4 preview as quick as we can. But we'll be right back. Everybody, this Vuelta España coverage is brought to you by Ultra Pouches. If you're someone who needs a coffee every couple hours just to feel normal, you know the trade-offs, the racing heart, the crash, the wrecked sleep score. That's why I've been using Ultra Pouches. They're completely nicotine and caffeine free. So what's actually in them, you might ask? Well, Ultra worked with neuroscientists to build around clinically proven nootropics and adaptogens, and the result is smooth, steady focus, and energy that lasts up to 2 hours with no crash and no withdrawals. You still get the pouch experience you actually like, just without the nicotine. I always keep them at my desk, and when I sit down to work, I pop one in. Better focus, better sleep, no jitters. They've got 5 flavors, and the cool mint is my go-to. Crisp, refreshing, exactly what you want when you need to buckle down and get some Vuelta work done. So Ultra is the ultimate guilt-free pouch, instant focus and mental clarity without nicotine or caffeine. And new customers get 15% off with code THEMOVE at takeultra.com. That's takeultra.com, code THEMOVE for 15% off. And when they ask you where you heard about them, tell them we sent you. It really helps the show. Okay, Johan. So just quickly, imagine the stage finishes. What do you think happened? Who wins this stage?
I mean, I haven't seen the last climb, of course, but I think Pogačar would have won. No, they had the intention. They didn't have to chase that break back. Of course, if the break stays ahead, then he's not in red. But I think Pogačar would have won the stage, and I more and more I start to think, it's only stage 3 today, but I think he really wants to win this, to wear this leader's jersey from start to finish.
I think so too.
By the way, I think yesterday I said 1991. The Giro, it's 1990 that Gianni Bugno was in pink from start to finish. 1990.
It's almost 40 years.
36 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think so too. I also saw something on the road where Almeida, he's more banged up than I thought. I guess he had a crash, at Poland?
Yeah.
But, he was really, him and Pogačar were talking, and they were like, you could tell they're very close and work very well together. And it's like Almeida's here full on for Pogačar. And I do think you're right that he's trying to take this leader's jersey line to line. UAE worked a lot today for nothing. Obviously, they didn't know the race was going to be neutralized, so you can't fault them for it. But it doesn't really affect the race probably because they're loading fatigue into their rivals as well. So it's like, everybody was riding hard, but they did spend a lot of time on the front and got nothing for it. Does that matter at all?
I mean, they're strong, and it's not like they destroyed the team. I think the pace of UAE was I'm not going to say comfortable, but it was well within their limits. They didn't kill anybody on the team. Their climbers didn't do any work today. It was, who was it? Novak, and then and Vermarke. Kevin Vermarke did a lot of work. Sivakov, who else? And Rui Oliveira or Ivo Oliveira.
This is a strong team. Actually, you just going through that
Actually, I heard Kevin today. I didn't realize that. I mean, funny story about Oliveira, the Oliveira twins. So we just saw Rui Oliveira winning his first win ever at the pros, right, in the Tour of Portugal. Ivo Oliveira has won already a few races in his career. But did you realize that for the Paris Olympics, they were scheduled to do the marathon in the Olympics, the marathon race together, the Oliveira twins. And Rui Oliveira, the guy who's here in the Vuelta, got sick a few days before the event and couldn't participate. And then another Portuguese guy of the track team came in. He's called Yuri Leitão. And they won the Olympics. So they won the gold medal in the Olympics. And so normally it would have been the Oliveira brothers. Imagine how nice that would have been to have the
twins, right?
They're twins. Yeah, they're identical twins.
Yeah, and they could have won. That would have been what a bummer.
Yeah, man. But there's footage out there. There's footage out there of Ivo Oliveira filming his brother and the other guy winning the Olympics. And yeah, I heard this today. I heard this story today. So that's we have to talk about something because there's not much to talk about the stage. But that's a nice story.
You know what fascinates me? Twins. We could just do a spin-off podcast about twins. So twins, pretty similar people, right? And same thing with the Yates. The careers can be quite different, and the specifics of what they're good at can be quite different, even though they're essentially the same person. Very fascinating. Like Ivo, 7 wins. Rui just gets his first win. Ivo Oliveira, 2-time Portuguese national road race champion, Portuguese national time trial champion. It's just really fascinating to me. But even with the Yates, their careers were so different, but they kind of ended up with the same number of wins when it was all said and done. Quite interesting, fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Call in twins. Call into the show. We'll
are there any other twins? Any other twins? Because the Van Dijk brothers twins.
There might be.
I think they're twins.
I think they are. Yeah. Well, here we just have to look them up, see if they have the same birthday. Mika Van Dijk. What's the other one's name?
I don't know.
Do we know? Tim Van Dijk.
Tim Van Dijk, yeah. And
then also twins on different teams. Like, how do twins make decisions about what teams to be on, career decisions? There was a pair of twins in the NBA that I went to school with, actually, had the same bank account. They just shared a bank account. Yeah, the Van Dyke brothers are twins. Interesting stuff. But before we do the stage 4 preview, the big story of the day, Irola Johns, never heard of this person, extremely popular Spanish Instagram influencer, millions of followers on social media, invited by the Vuelta to kind of like she got crazy good access, too good of access if you ask me, but to popularize it with young people. It's not a bad idea. I saw at the Tour de France Femmes. Tour de France Femmes did an amazing job of this. I for some reason was living in the influencer district in London, and every influencer went south for the Tour de France Femmes. They were posting about the Femmes all day, every day, but it looked kind of organic. ASO did a very good job with that, of getting, like popular London influencer involved with the Tour de France Femmes and then amplifying it to their audience. There's a good way to do it. This is probably not a good way to do it, because this woman was, like, you could see, I don't know what the circumstances were, but Pogačar was getting fitted for his red jersey with press officer Luke McGuire, who's kind of an intimidating guy. I probably wouldn't be bothering Pogačar when he's with Luke McGuire.
He's a very nice guy, he's a very nice guy, by the way. He's
a very nice guy, but he
kills them with softness. Like, he's very nice, but he knows how to put a barrier, which is what you need. He's a super professional guy.
He's very good at his job, we should say. Yeah. When he says the questions are up, the questions are up. He commands the room. He has a great presence, but she's kind of like hassling them inappropriately, if you ask me. And then Pogačar comes out and she asks him like a really inappropriate question of like, why do you blush every time you see me?
No, why are you? She said, why are you hyperventilating?
Hyperventilating, yeah. And he could tell he was really upset, really caught off guard and upset by the interaction. And like, what do you think of this? Is this a good move for the Vuelta?
I think it's ridiculous, Spencer. It's ASO also. Okay, so I don't know if it's different people making these decisions, but I would say, the idea behind it is definitely not bad, because if you invite influencers, it's a good move to attract the younger public, the new generation. Whatever these people do, go viral. But the fact that she got so much access that nobody else gets, she literally gets in almost inside the camper where the guys change at the end of the stage, right? And then she starts to ask these stupid questions. I mean, it's ridiculous. I think it's disrespectful. And on the one hand, I think it's a good idea to take those initiatives to have these influencers, but you need to put rules. And I'm sure, Spencer, if it would be the Tour de France, it's still ASO, but it seems to me that in this Tour of Spain, and since it's more relaxed, different rules apply to the Tour de France. The Tour de France is a rigid, well-run machine. These are the rules. The Tour of Spain is more, okay, let's see, whatever, But man, I think she's going to get called and they're going to put some barriers, some filters on what she can. Plus, if I saw that interview, when I saw that interview, I would need to check, but I think it's actually published on the La Vuelta official channel.
It is. I think it is. Yeah.
Which is even more mind blowing. Like, how can you publish this? Okay, you know what? Like, okay, from tomorrow on, this is what you can say. This is what you can't say. And whatever doesn't pass our filters does not get published. Right?
I mean, you can't imagine at Wimbledon, they hire some influencer to come in and kind of hassling the players and then publish it. It probably wouldn't happen.
I'm thinking back now, Spencer. I don't know. I would need to check if it's the same person, but in Monaco at the team presentation, there was this singer. It was a couple actually, but I think it might be the same person. They gave a performance. It was horrendous. She couldn't sing. It was false.
It has to be the same person. Right?
I think it's the same person. I don't know, but it was really bad. And I saw a lot of comments about it that say, wow, what the hell is this? So yeah, that's not good, man. And I saw this reaction of Laura Messager, who's a super professional journalist for Eurosport. She's at the Vuelta, and she has worked her way up during many, many years. I think,
yeah, like busted her butt for years.
Yeah, for 20 years. I think I remember Laura as a young girl being at the Vuelta. I want to say 2007, 2008, maybe. I don't remember. So it's been a while. So she's a very well-respected journalist, has a really good relationship with all the riders. She gets interviews because she has these relationships with them, and is always super professional. And she made a good comment. She said, this is unacceptable. We are in a man's world. We had to really work hard to be accepted in this man's world of cycling and cycling journalists. The majority have always been men. And this basically is a huge step back. It takes away all the credibility or a bunch of credibility of female journalists. So at the same time, we all know we have to take it with a grain of salt. It's done on purpose. It can't be taken seriously. But I don't think it's a great view. I don't think it's. Yeah, they will have to do something about it. I'm curious to see how this is going to progress now for the next 3 weeks. I think she's going to get called into the office and we'll get a mouth guard or something.
So disrespectful to people like Laura too. She gets better access than her. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I do think Christian, your son, pointed out probably that directionally is a good decision. Like bringing someone like this in is probably good for the Vuelta's awareness with young people. Just the execution of it could have been done a little bit better, you'd think.
Yeah, there's only one way to look at it is take this as a joke. It's funny, but at the same time, it's not funny. And yeah, it will probably attract interest of young people. She does have 3.2 million followers on Instagram. I just saw. So on TikTok, it's probably a lot more. So, that's probably the reason why she's there. But man, they need to do something about it, about the content, about the kind of content she puts out.
The brief should have been, hey, make sure our most famous guy looks good. Don't try to embarrass him on camera. You saying Luke McGuire is nice reminded me of this story. I was having breakfast, sat down at a coffee bar, had breakfast, stood up to pay. They said, you can't pay. Someone's already paid for you. And it was Luke McGuire. Okay. Secretly got the tab. Nice guy. But let's take an ad break and then we'll preview tomorrow's stage 4, which is a crazy good day. Kind of wild they put this in here on stage 4 already. I'm quite excited for it, but we'll be right back. Hey everybody, this episode is brought to you by Keeper Security. With the rise of easy-to-use AI tools, passwords are easier than ever to crack. So this means you need a truly unique password for everything. But most people, they're just going to use the same 1 or 2 or 3 variations across every site. And guess what? That's a massive risk. Massive. I used to constantly deal with the hassle of getting locked out, though. You want to have a strong password. You're not going to remember it, but you're jumping between your phone and computer. You could lose your mind. It's truly maddening, but the friction has completely vanished with Keeper. Keeper is a password manager that creates strong, unique passwords for all your accounts, stores them in one secure place, and logs you in automatically across all devices. So you never have to remember, guess, or worry about getting locked out of your accounts again. It doesn't feel like extra work either. Autofill, Face ID, fingerprint login. It's fast, seamless, and protects you in the background. Whether you're running a household or managing a whole company, Keeper lets you share logins securely without leaving anything exposed. And right now, Keeper's offering 60% off personal and family plans at keepersecurity.com/themove. This incredible offer is only available to podcast listeners. So make sure you go to keepersecurity.com/themove for 60% off personal and family plans. And if you're running a team at work, check out Keeper's business plan. Just make sure to use our link, keepersecurity.com/themove, so they know we sent you. All right, Johan, tomorrow's stage 4, 104.8. Let's call it 105 kilometers with just under 3,000 meters of climbing. Starts in Andorra, finishes in Andorra, starts and finishes in the same place in the capital, which is you live there. I've never lived there. One of the lowest spots of Andorra, like around 1,000 meters. but we climb up to high points. Like the first climb of the day tops out at 2,400 meters, which is very high. And we really just have it's a simple course. It goes up the valley, 23 kilometers of climbing. The last 10K of it is at 6.5%, so really hard. That's a Cat 1 climb. Then we descend down. We come back to where we started, but we do a detour up an extremely hard climb, 6.5 kilometers at almost 9%. And then we descend down, sprint point, climb back up, 10K at 7%, descend down. And then we take a little detour before the finish, a 4K long climb at 6%. The last K and a half is a close to 9%. So we got some steep pitches here where attacks could come, and then we descend back down into town for the finish, a neat 105K. It's going to be done fast. I think it's televised start to finish. I think the TV coverage starts around 2:40 p.m. local time. How do you think this is going to play out, Johan? And instead of who do you think is going to win, where do you think the winning attack is going to come from?
Yeah, I think that's the question. I think Pogačar already said before the Vuelta that stage 4 was, a crucial stage. So he's definitely going for it. I think he's winning tomorrow's stage. Can't see anybody else win. The question is, that's two questions I have, Spencer. Where will Pogačar attack? Number one. We don't know the answer because, he can go. I don't expect him to go on Invalida. After 20 kilometers, 25 kilometers.
Probably not.
No. But after that, we have this climb, Collada de Beixals, which is with crested with 60K to go. So after 60K, so 45K from the finish. That's doable. It's the hardest climb. The question is, does Pogačar need the hardest climb to... I expect him to go on Col de Ordino, which is 9.9 kilometers at 7%. It's a hard climb. It's very regular. You get to the top with after 79 kilometers, so 25K to go. And most of it is downhill. I expect him to go there. That would make a lot of sense. And then the biggest question is, Spencer, who, if anybody, will try to follow him? I think that's the question of the day tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
I would say probably anybody who's in their right mind, nobody tries to follow him and just ride their own pace and try to be the best of the rest and hope, which we have been hoping for the last 2 years now, that Pogačar goes too early and runs out of energy. That's actually the only hope they can have, in my opinion. I'm guessing Pogačar's in, more or less the same shape as he finished the Tour de France with. And with this field, there's going to be a huge difference. I think he's winning tomorrow with 2 minutes at least. That's usually what he wins with, and when he does these attacks. So I think that's going to be what happens.
Well, this stage layout, you might just look at this and say, it's not a summit finish and then gloss over it. But this is the most lethal layout, in my opinion, for Pogačar, similar to stage 6 of the Tour, where I think that was his biggest GC gap he pulled out, where he attacks at the top of the Tourmalet. And he's most lethal when he attacks before the final climb, because then he can, for whatever reason, I think Vingegaard goes over the Tourmalet about 30 seconds behind. And Pogačar can just stay on that gas. He just keeps on the accelerator, and he can turn a 30-second gap into a 2.5-minute gap on a guy that's probably the second best stage racer in the world. So what's he going to do here? That's a little scary to think about. Where is he going to go? The climb you point out, I've actually never seen this. You can look at these profiles, and it's a color for the steepness, and it's the same color all the way up. So it's extremely irregular. That's a good place to attack. That tops out 25K from the finish. The only other place I might think is the climb before, which is steeper, more irregular, tops out about 45K from the finish. If we look at the longest attacks of the season, solo attacks that are successful, Tadej Pogačar, number 1, 80K at Strade Bianche. Tadej Pogačar, number 2, 70K, Tour de Suisse, stage 1. Probably won't see that. Tadej Pogačar, number 3, 42 kilometers, Tour de France, stage 6. So that would
what about that's maybe more than 2. What about his attack in Zurich at the World Championships? That was 100K.
That's just this year.
Okay.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. That's just from this year so far. So
okay.
That 40K figure he does that kind of regularly. Yeah, he has done 100K attacks. I don't think we're going to see him attack on the first climb of the day. That would be a little much.
No,
but
what we can also see for Spencer is that there's, and I think it would make a lot of sense tactically for both him and whoever can be with Pogačar, is that there's a selection on the Collado de Beixas on that second climb. Then he uses these guys in the downhill because it's in the interest of these other guys also to take time on eventual contenders for the podium, and then goes on Ordino. Him by himself. I think that's the most likely scenario. Goes with 2 or 3 guys, with on the Collado de Beixas, and then goes by himself on the next climb.
And who are those 2 or 3 guys?
Well, before the start of the Vuelta, we were all talking about Felix Gall, right? It's starting to have a bit of doubts now, although we're going to see tomorrow. I'm going to say Carapaz. Carapaz will definitely try to go with him on the Collado de Beixas. If it's not a full-on attack, let's say this is not a full-on attack of Pogačar, but it's still enough to get away with 3-4 guys, which is perfect for Pogačar. And these three other guys have all the interest in the world to collaborate with him if they can make it to the top of that climb, to collaborate with him and a part of Ordino, because if they get over Ordino with a separation on the rest behind them,
that's huge.
It's a good step towards the podium already, right?
Yeah,
in stage 4. So I think that's probably the strategy that I would try to use both in the case of UAE and Pogačar, and also in the case of these other guys who are contenders and hope for a podium place.
I don't know if I would write Felix Gall off yet.
No,
because he was so good at Burgos. So good at Burgos. Hard to forget about
Oscar
that.
Oscar Only should be there also, I think. Oscar Only should be there. I don't know who else. Enric Mas, Roglic. I don't know about Roglic. Roglic is an unknown, right? I think Roglic needs a bit more time. He looks all right now, but tomorrow, obviously, it's a big day. It's short, it's aggressive, it's fast, and it's a lot of climbing. 3,000 meters of climbing in 100 kilometers, that's a lot. So I don't know if Roglic is ready for that right now, but maybe he surprises us and he's there. I hope so. I would love to see it.
Yeah, he... what's crazy is Daniel Friebe on his podcast was like, I'd love to see Roglic Roglify Pogačar in a finish here. And I kind of it's not, you forget everything changes so fast because you're like, I guess a few years ago that could have happened, but it's almost like hearing someone describe a dream. You're like, what? The
Roglification is not going to happen, but Pogačar's there. No, I don't think so.
And probably not. You're probably right. I do think you named him. I think it's Carapaz on Gall. Go with him. And get dropped. And then if they're smart, but Carapaz, I'm worried. Was Carapaz just going to stay with Pogačar until he explodes and then loses 10 minutes? But if they're smart, they'll just focus on working together and holding. It's really going to be about holding off the riders who missed that move. Yeah, it shouldn't really be about following Pogačar. That's a fool's errand, in my opinion, on this stage.
Yeah, and Pogačar is really smart and conservative. I'm stressing on the word conservative, which he most of the times he's not. Then he would actually not go 100% on that second climb with the intention of having some company.
Yeah, Yeah, this is the top 15 longest successful solo breakaways of the year. How many do you think Pogačar has of those 15?
6?
7. Half of them, basically. Crazy. He's pretty good. He is pretty good. And then Van der Poel has 2 of them. Wow. But I think you're right. I think that's exactly how it's going to play out. Pogačar was around -1. I think he was minus 160 to win today. I bet on it, but didn't get paid out, obviously, because there's no finisher.
Are they going to refund?
You get a refund on your bet. Kind of disappointing because he probably would have won. But he didn't burn, like he would have had to burn a lot, right, to win that. It would have been a hard thing to do. Now he doesn't have to do it. Let's see. They don't have the odds out for today, but I would bet it's going to be significantly worse than minus 160. Like we could be looking at like minus 300. Probably still worth it, because the only way he doesn't win is what you said. He attacks too early and blows up. When's the last time we even saw that, though?
Yeah, that's that's wishful thinking, man. That's wishful thinking. And especially
who punished him for
early,
that.
also so early in a Grand Tour. He's still super fresh, and even later in a Grand Tour, it doesn't happen anymore. So
yeah. By the last two riders.
By the way, look who came to say hello, Spencer. He's back.
Bobby's back.
Bobby's back at the general request. Some people have heard him in the background, but here he is. He's not. He's not that impressed with the Vuelta. He's not interested in the Vuelta España. So, but anyways, he's here as always.
Bobby's there.
Hey, Bobby.
The Vuelta España yet to go to Spain. Kind of like even tomorrow we're not in Spain yet.
We're not in Spain yet. That's true. Yeah. We're not in Spain yet. Yeah.
I keep forgetting. I'm like, because you look at the scorched landscape and you're like, oh, there it is, the Spanish landscape. It's like, wait, we're still in France. What's going on? Yeah. Do you think does being in France affect the racing? Is it more chaotic than when they get to Spain? No, it's the same.
No. It's the same. It's the same. I mean, unfortunately, it's the Vuelta. Hang on, Bobby. Unfortunately, we don't see huge crowds yet. I mean, today, obviously, people wanted to shelter at the finish, but that's the difference. With even with the Giro, there's never huge crowds unless it's a weekend and a mountaintop finish. That's a bit the struggle that. There's still people on holiday, and then most of the people are back to work, so it's difficult for the Vuelta to draw attention from the public.
Yeah, I guess a lot of the places the stages would be like, let's say in a normal Vuelta where you're in Cantabria, you're probably not getting a lot of local. It's just not a lot of people live there, right? Exactly. It would have to be people coming in from somewhere else to watch it. Like, what do you think about this Costa Blanca stage, though? Will there be a lot of spectators or no? Is that a cycling hotbed or just a place people happen to ride a lot? No,
but in summer there's less cyclists. This is when the least cyclists are there, like July, August.
Yeah.
End of September it starts again. But there's going to be a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of foreigners there who actually live there permanently. So I think there's going to be quite some spectators.
Okay.
Like these stages, like now in the north of Spain, France, Andorra, there's never been people there. Never. It was deserted sometimes. It was basically, the people from the organization and a few family members. That was the crowd. Those were the crowds at the finish back in the days, and it's still the same.
It's always a little weird too when it's the Vuelta in Spain. Italy was a little less weird, but like the Vuelta in France, where it's like the Tour de France just finished. And now there's another Grand Tour. It's like you're doing this all again. And it feels so much more muted. I thought Monaco actually was great. Like the crowd level was perfect. And then, as we've now gone to the more rural areas, you're like, oof, there's not a lot of people out here. We got to get back to somewhere that they have people.
Yeah.
Andorra's not very densely populated. Is that true or not?
There's a lot of, it's per square meter. I guess it's very populated, but it's all concentrated into Andorra la Vella, which is Andorra la Vella is the old town. La Vella is the old part of the town. So that's basically that's Andorra. All the other little towns around it, it's remote mountain towns. There's almost nobody there. Although it does change a lot in the winter. There's a lot of skiing going on in Andorra.
Yeah.
For example, Invalida, you'll see tomorrow. That's a ski station,
I'm looking at the population of the start finish town, 22,000 people. But yeah, it is very dense because there's not a lot of
there's not a lot of space.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for the race, and we'll be back tomorrow to break it down. Anything?
By the way, tomorrow in Andorra, there are 32 local riders, 32 riders who actually live in Andorra in this peloton.
Wow. And then the total number would be around like 170, 180.
I don't know how many, but between Monaco and Andorra, I think half of the peloton is a resident.
Yeah, and Andorra's becoming more popular. I was talking to a World Tour team who's moving their base to Andorra from the Côte d'Azur, and it's a very attractive place to do business. There's not a lot of red tape. The taxes are very low, but I think it's getting more popular because you can just live at altitude. It's a lot easier to do altitude camps. There's far less logistics.
If you want to live at altitude, you basically have to. I think I can't confirm that, but I've seen somewhere that I think Pidcock has a place on the top of Invalida.
Yeah,
which is 2,400 meters. That's interesting,
And I guess especially if you're a high earning rider, you could have a separate place in Girona, and so you could split your time. If you have a family, though, like you could be living in Andorra, they could be going to school there. And you're living at altitude. I mean, you live there though. There's downsides. There's no train. There's no train.
I lived there in 96 and 97. So I was one of the first guys. It was different then. I lived there occasionally. So it's changed a lot. I think nowadays you have to be able to consider an Andorra resident, you have to be there 160 days during the year. Basically half of the year you have to be there.
Yeah.
So and then I just found out actually last week there is actually there's flights into Andorra. Yeah, I didn't know that you can fly from Madrid to Andorra to La Seu d'Urgell, which is a small. I mean, with a Iberia flight for €100.
Huh?
Yeah.
I would bet though it's like Aspen. It's like, oh yeah, the flight exists, and then any weather moves in, that flight's not making it. Yeah, high risk flight. We'll see.
Yeah.
The success rate of that flight could be low. I am shocked that I live in Boulder, Colorado, at least part of the year. It used to be like the center of especially like triathlon and running training because you can live high. It's not too high, but you're in a city. I'm shocked at the number of professional triathletes and runners, especially non-Americans, who do all of their training that they used to do in Boulder and Andorra. Andorra's gotten incredibly popular. It seems like it's done a good job of capitalizing on its strengths and great facilities there. And I guess the finish we saw today was that the French version of that, where they have a lot of training facilities. And if you can go there and you get a track and you can have
but the finish we didn't see today.
The finish we did not see today. That we saw the buses ripping away from at an extremely high speed. Yeah. Well, Johan, we'll be back tomorrow. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see what happens, where Pogačar goes. We can't wait to see.
Thanks, Spencer.
Okay, bye.